But if you look at the mind-body research, which has been out there for many, many years as well, there's a massive huge link between how we think and how that thinking is affecting. Now, this is quite complex stuff, so I've got to try and explain this simplistically. Deep down inside the depths of our brain, we have tiny little neurobiological computers that are very, very small. They're in the depths of the neurons of the brain, and our brain has about 100 billion neurons. And each of these neurons has about 10 billion things that are called microtubules. And these microtubules are made of little proteins that are, and there's millions and millions of them, as you can imagine. So they're really small. But the reason I'm sharing this with you is deep down in the depths of your brain, you've got these phenomenal, powerful neurobiological quantum computers. And those little quantum computers are the things that are working very hard as you're thinking. So you're always thinking, 24/7 you think. During the day you think to build thoughts as you're going through your daily life. At night time, when you're sleeping, those thoughts are being sorted out. That's why we dream. So you're always active. So these little protein structures, these little neurobiological computers are always active. They're very involved in cell division. So this very complex concept of these little tiny things that are involved in thought building, thinking, and cell division are very implicated in disease. So that's what the latest research is showing, that if you think in a toxic way, you generate a toxic signal, the neurobiological computers can't work properly, cell division is affected, and we can start creating patterns of vulnerability in our brain and our body, which increase our chance of disease. So the research shows that it's about 75 to 98% of illnesses today come from how we're thinking. So even things like Alzheimer's, I mean, just the, I don't know if you're aware of this, Maria, but just the thinking or fearing getting Alzheimer's, and it's pretty easy to fear getting Alzheimer's.
A lot of people do.
Exactly. I mean, it's yes. On the rise, and it's all over the place, and we keep getting statistics shown at us. Just fearing that will increase your chance of getting Alzheimer's by 63%. So in that region. So I don't say that to scare people. I say that to make people aware that the way you're thinking affects the way that those little biological computers are working, neurobiological computers are working, and it's related to how our cell division of our body's working. So therefore, we've seen that our choices, what you think, what you feel, and what you choose, is going to affect the physical structure of your brain and your body. So if it's always in a toxic mode, you've increased your vulnerability through your thought life, which has then affected those little biological computers, which then control everything else. They're not working properly. So naturally, your body's going to respond. So the genetic research shows that disease comes from generations passing through incorrect decisions, which cause mutations. So mutations come through, add that to that toxic signals, and you have a breakdown in your body and an increased vulnerability.
I guess this is probably quite controversial in some ways, and probably some people don't like the idea of thinking, well, hang on a minute, my friend's got cancer or diabetes, maybe that's come from their thought process. So how do you respond to that?
Well, it is, and it's very hard sometimes to deal with that. And there's always that, because it's around about 75 to 98%. So you've always got the 2 to 25% factor of potential exposure to chemicals or toxins, which is quite a big factor. So, in up to 25% of cases of people having illnesses, it's from some sort of damage or exposure. And it's very easy in our day and age to be exposed to chemicals and to be exposed to, things, but also childhood abuse. Child and growing up in abuse, it increases the whole vulnerability of the entire physical body to illness. So there is a strong link between cancer and early childhood abuse, trauma, PTSD, that kind of thing. And that's not, obviously, abuse is not anyone's fault. No one asked to be abused, but it creates, unfortunately, vulnerability in our lives. And this is why it's so important as humanity that we look out for each other, that we love each other, because the research shows very clearly that when you love each other, when you reach out in love, when you immerse people in love, just by being there in all the different ways that love can look like, you change a person's brain chemistry, you increase their resilience, you increase the ability for those little microbiological, neurobiological quantum computers to heal, to fix, to repair, to renovate, for cell division to change. So your healing can come into your body, strength can come back into your body. And then there's the other side that we need to also recognize that we do, it's very clear in biblically, I lay before you life and death, blessing, cursing, choose life so that you and your descendants may live. We've got to be careful that we aren't lazy in our mind about how we're living our lives. So, and also guilt is another toxic thing. So if you go into guilt, oh my gosh, I'm got cancer because I'm such a bad, you don't want to think like that. We don't want to let the past lock us down. And it doesn't really matter if you're in that situation now. It's not going to help you to think, oh well, that caused it and get stuck. If it did or if it didn't, we don't know. It could be a combination of factors. In most people, it's a combination of factors, because none of us are 100% perfect every day. Even though we're wired for perfection, we don't always fulfill that blueprint. We're making decisions 24/7 when we awake. So every decision that's toxic is increasing vulnerability. All of us do it. So let's be real. Humanity does make mistakes. It does increase vulnerability. We can't go and blame, get guilty or get angry. What we have to do is do something. So I'm all about, okay, this is a potential. Let's realize the potential, but at the same time, let's not focus on the negative. If that is the case, well, then how can I reverse that? I have the same power in my mind to reverse that, to get my mind under control, to make sure I'm forgiving people. Forgiveness breaks down cells like you cannot believe.